On Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting from Portland, Oregon. I'm Amy Goodman. As we turn to another protest that happened here in the Northwest on Saturday, this was farm workers leading an international day of action calling for a boycott at Driscoll's, the largest berry distributor in the world. About an hour north of Seattle in Burlington, Washington, berry pickers have been organizing for 3 years at Sakuma Brothers Farms, one of the farms where Driscoll's buys its berries. Since 2013, some workers have launched a series of walkouts, picket lines, and lawsuits over alleged labor violations. In 2015, one of their lawsuits went all the way to the Washington Supreme Court, where they won a unanimous decision that set a precedent ensuring paid rest breaks statewide. That same year, massive protests broke out at Driscoll's farms down in San Quintin Valley in Mexico. Since then, Driscoll's farm workers have been organizing together on both sides of the border. Democracy Now!'s Laura Gottesdiener caught up with some of the farm workers at a Costco not far from the Sakuma fields.
Boycott! Boycott!
This is Democracy Now! We're here in Burlington, Washington, where behind us almost 100 people have gathered and people are marching on Costco to demand that they drop Driscoll's products from their shelves. It looks like people are just about to march, and just behind us you can see almost a dozen workers who work at Sakuma Farms, which is one of the farms that Driscoll sources its berries from here in Washington State. The march is led by Ramon Torres, a former berry picker at Sakuma Brothers Farms. He's the president of Familias Unidas por la Justicia, Families United for Justice.
We have 41 committees, so in addition to this action, we're going to have about 40 other picket lines today. It's an international day of actions, so we're going to have actions in Mexico also. The demand is that they sign a union contract with us and that they give us good conditions for housing and work, better salaries, medical plans, pensions, and that they remove our children from the fields. We don't want our children working in agriculture, picking fruit and vegetables for this country until they are at least 16 years old. That's what we want.
My name's Galen, and I'm here to support the boycott of Driscoll's berries and support the Farm Worker Union Familias Unidas.
My name's Maggie Sullivan. I live here. I'm a Costco member. I'm a Costco stockholder. Those guys treat their employees really well. They have a lot of integrity. I think that they can do the same with the people who pick their food.
Wage theft is not okay!
Yo soy Felimón Pineda y la gente me eligieron como vicepresidente de familia.
I am Felimón Pineda, and the people elected me as the vice president of Families United for Justice. In 2013, we decided to go on strike because they stole from us. They stole our wages. They cheated us on the pounds of berries. They mistreated us. They required us to work in the rain. They threatened us. They intimidated us. And we were opposed to all of this. So for these reasons, the people decided to stand up rather than stay on their knees.
A ponerse de pie, ya no más de rodilla.
Está bien la propuesta que está haciendo, pero primero tienen que liberar a los presos.
In recent years, farm workers have been organizing against Driscoll's not only in Washington State, but also in San Quintin in Mexico, where Driscoll's and other major companies source berries and vegetables. In 2015, some 30,000 farm workers in San Quintin Valley went on strike to demand better pay and conditions. On Saturday, during the International Day of Action, Gloria Gracida, a representative of the San Quintin farm workers, spoke out at a protest at a Whole Foods market in San Diego, California.
Estoy aquí en un Whole Foods de San Diego con
I am here at Whole Foods in San Diego with people who are supporting the international boycott against Driscoll's because Driscoll's is exploiting its workers in San Quintin, Mexico, and also in Washington State. We're asking for your support because workers there in Mexico are earning between $6 and $7 for 12 to 15 hours of work.
Back outside the Costco in Washington State, Felimon explained he and his Sakuma co-workers have been coordinating with the farm workers in Mexico.
Somos los mismos trabajadores, somos los mismos oaxaqueños.
We are the same workers. We're the same people from Oaxaca. And so finally, we reached an agreement to work together on the boycott. We're in charge of the boycott throughout the United States, and San Quentin will run the boycott in Mexico and in other countries as well.
Va a promover el boicot a todo lo que es México y a diferentes países también.
On Saturday, Felimon, Ramon, and other farm workers took me to one of the labor camps, where in 2013, workers walked out over the pay and the housing conditions.
Here we are in the fields in the Red Camp, which Sakuma leased on a yearly basis for the workers.
So here's one of the cabins, the housing units. It hasn't been in use for about 3 years, but you can still get a pretty good sense of some of the conditions. Here we see bunk beds with rusted bed frames, a wooden roof. You can see some of the nails exposed and some gaps in the roof. The walls are wood. There's no insulation. Now there's some holes in the exterior of the walls. We don't know if they were there in 2013 or not, but certainly there's no insulation on either any of the internal, or external walls. In fact, this wall is really just a piece of plywood. Other workers say they've been denied housing altogether. This is Margarita Sanchez. She's speaking in Mixteco, one of the indigenous languages of Mexico.
I went to ask for a cabin, but they didn't want to give me one because I'm a woman and I have children. They said they want workers, not children. I'd been working for Sakuma since 2002, picking blueberries. There wasn't a scale in the fields, and so I just tried to weigh the berries in my bag. But when I went to deliver the fruit, sometimes my bag had extra blueberries, 2 or 3 pounds more, but they wouldn't pay us for the extra pounds. They just took them.
In 2014, Sakuma settled a lawsuit alleging it had stolen wages and denied worker breaks. Sakuma did not admit any guilt, but paid out $850,000. Margarita's fellow worker, Jose Ramirez, said the wages are what inspired him to start organizing.
The first day we arrived to pick the blueberries, they paid us 25 cents a pound. And that day we arrived and worked and picked for about 8 hours, more or less, maybe 8.5. And many people earned $40 or even $30 all day because the blueberries weren't ripe and there wasn't a lot of fruit. We arrived the next day and began to ask them to pay us 5 cents more, so it would be 30 a pound, and they didn't want to pay.
I also spoke with Sakuma CEO Danny Whedon and with Vice President of Washington Operations Richard Brim. They said Sakuma no longer leases Campo Rojo, where we were earlier this day, and that Sakuma workers are all well paid. They took us on a tour of the fields.
I'm Danny Whedon, and I am the president and CEO of Sakuma Brother Farms. And right now we're standing in front of one of our organic blueberry fields. Nothing happens around here without people. I mean, life is about people. Families are about people. And I kind of see this as like a family. That family housing is right next to our offices, and and I want to create that family environment, not only with our harvest workers, with all of our workers.
I'm Rich Brim, Vice President of Washington Operations for Sakuma Brothers Farms in Burlington, Washington.
And where are we right now?
Right now we're in the temporary worker housing complex at the main office. These units are all insulated, and of course they have cooking facilities and running water. There are in fact 4 bunks but only 3 mattresses. Because of the requirement for space, there are only 3 mattresses. This room can only have 3 occupants.
CEO Danny Whedon. Do you have a sense, I know that that some of the workers have called for $15 minimum wage. Is that on the table for the upcoming growing season?
No. And but I can tell you is that the average harvest workers in blueberries and blackberries last season made more than $15 an hour, the average, and many made over $20 an hour. And so, but it's a productivity-based system. And then it creates the opportunity, though, for the younger, the new workers to learn that skill and get up to those high wage earning levels.
Do you guys have an age limit on either side for your workers?
We do. So we have 15 years is the minimum. And the reason we offer 15 years and older is that it's because the workers, when they come in with their families, if they have a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old, they would like them to be out in the field working with them.
But some workers said Sakuma hasn't had a minimum age requirement, and that the housing, even outside Campo Rojo, hasn't been quite so good. I caught up with 16-year-old Alfredo Juarez and his 10-year-old brother Alvaro at a nearby park. I asked Alfredo how old he was when he first started picking for Sakuma.
I was 13.
How old are you now?
Well, I'm 16 right now.
And are you in high school?
Yeah. I'm junior at Burlington.
And how many years have you been working for Sakuma?
4. It's going to be 4. Yeah. And one of the challenges that comes in during summer was that sometimes I have to leave school early. I don't get to finish school. Well, I remember that one day, I think it was a Sunday, that when we were picking strawberry, it was rainy, and then it was super cold, the wind and stuff like that, and I was kind of feeling a little sick. It was around 12, and I wanted to go home. So I asked my mom, and then she said if I not feeling well, we should go home. And then my mom told the supervisor, but the supervisor said if you guys don't get back to work, you guys will get fired, and then you have to find some place to live, just right away. At the same day you get fired, and then you have to find a place to stay.
Because you were living in the camp.
Yeah.
And what was the camp like?
It was terrible, because you only have 2 beds, they're connected back to back on each other. And it was their stuff, they don't have any new stuff or anything. They have the same bed for 5-6 years or maybe older. Some of them have some hole in it and some little bed bugs and stuff like that. And then the roof, when it rains, sometimes water gets in, so it's pretty cold.
What was it like? Were you there also? What was it like for you?
It was pretty cold, and when it was really hot inside, there used to be water driplets dripping on our heads when we were trying to sleep in the night.
Alfredo said he and his family have been with Familias Unidas since the 2013 walkout, and that he's been at protests ever since. But when he's not protesting, he's at home singing.
I like to sing and then act. And right now I'm learning how to play guitar. I've been practicing for a month now. My career is that I want to still be part of Familias Unidas, and with my career I want it to be acting and singing, so hopefully that goes well and that works out.
Do you think you're going to pick this summer?
I know I'm going to pick this summer. It's the only way I can get a job. So, and it's the only way I can help my family. So yeah, I'll be picking this summer to with them.
For Democracy Now!, I'm Laura Gottesdiener in Burlington, Washington.
Democracy Now! Also called Driscoll's and asked its Executive Vice President of the Americas, Soren Bjorn, about the farm workers' call for a Driscoll's boycott. He said, quote, "We feel it's really unfortunate because some of the allegations are simply not true." Bjorn said Driscoll's was not considering dropping Sakuma Brothers as one of its growers, saying, quote, "Since 2013, when these issues got resolved, Sakuma has done nothing but to improve their operations every single year." The Driscoll's Executive Vice President, Soren Bjorn, also called on the state of Washington to strengthen its worker protections, saying, quote, "From international standards, this is really weak child labor law," unquote. While Washington state allows children as young as 12 years old to work on farms, Driscoll says it's recently revised its own standards, saying workers on the farms it buys from must now be 15 years old. Special thanks to Democracy Now!'s Laura Gottesdiener and John Hamilton for this report.